In tonight's headlines, an earthquake in northwest China kills over 120 people and injures hundreds more. In Hong Kong, lawyers argue legal points on day 2 of the Jimmy Lai national security case. And police investigate after thousands of drivers are overcharged at the Western Harbour Crossing.
Rescuing victims and providing refuge to the homeless are the top priority in northwestern Gansu province, which was struck by a 6.2 magnitude earthquake at a minute to midnight last night, local time. At least 113 people were killed and over 500 injured. The tremor also shook neighboring Qinghai province, where rescuers dug through the rubble overnight to search for trapped victims. At least 13 people were killed and 200 injured in Qinghai. In Gansu, firefighters continued their search into the morning. Over 2,000 tents were set up in one village that was devastated by the quake. As workers prepared the temporary accommodation, the newly made homeless lined up for a hot meal in the freezing weather. Before meeting the press this morning, Gansu officials observed a moment of silence. They reported that apart from the casualties, over 4,000 houses were damaged. President Xi Jinping ordered officials to supervise relief operations and instructed the army and police to help with rescue work. In Hong Kong, Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan activated a disaster relief fund to provide aid to the earthquake victims. Maisie Mok, Cable News.
Armed police were on high alert as a prison van carrying Jimmy Lai arrived at the West Kowloon Magistracy this morning for the second day of his national security trial. Chief Superintendent Steve Lee from the National Security Department was outside the court building to monitor the police operation. Lai, who founded the now-defunct Apple Daily, is accused of conspiring to collude with foreign forces and conspiring to publish seditious materials. His lawyer, senior counsel Robert Pang, argued that a 6-month time bar for pressing charges in sedition cases was aimed at balancing the public's interest and avoiding injustice. He said when a person is accused of publishing seditious materials, the alleged offender should be prosecuted as soon as possible and within the time limit, instead of waiting for years. Government prosecutor Anthony Chow described Pang's arguments as absurd. He said the case would be fragmented if charges are pressed within 6 months after each alleged offense. He said Lai had committed what he called a continuing offense, alleging that the media tycoon had published over 160 suspected seditious articles since April 1, 2019. Chow argued that the prosecution time bar should begin only on June 24, 2021, the day of the final article. He added that charges were already laid against Lai when the prosecution notified the court on December 13 that year that it planned to prosecute the media tycoon, and not when he was first taken to court as claimed by the defense. The panel of 3 government-appointed judges adjourned the trial to Friday, when it will rule on the legal dispute. Janice Low, Cable News. A man and a woman have been accused of trying to smuggle drugs worth $36 million into Hong Kong after allegedly being offered $60,000 each. It's the first arrest of suspected drug couriers in 3 years. The Hong Kongers, in their early 20s, were detained at the airport after arriving from the Italian city of Milan via the Finnish capital Helsinki. Customs officers became suspicious when 2 cans of food in their baggage showed signs of tampering, and the words on the package were not Italian. A check of other items in their luggage led to the discovery of 22 kilograms of suspected liquid cocaine and 25 kilograms of suspected ketamine. The suspects will appear in court tomorrow.
Acting Chief Executive Eric Chan said the toll overcharge at the Western Harbour Crossing yesterday was not a system malfunction. The drivers of about 4,700 vehicles were charged more between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Monday, one day after the introduction of the time-varying tolls at the 3 harbour tunnels. Chan said police are investigating.
It is a human error, and we suspect that there is undue interference by somebody. So we are leaving the matter to the police. If this is a deliberate attempt to interfere with the system, then this is definitely a criminal act, and the relevant individual will, of course, be brought to justice.
Most of the affected drivers have received refunds, while the remainder have been notified about the correct toll. Janice Yu, Cable News.
As the United Nations Security Council prepares again to discuss a ceasefire in Gaza, more Palestinian civilians have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. Many children were among the injured, rushed to hospital in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, where at least 28 Palestinians were killed. The death toll has reached 19,500 in 10 weeks. Hundreds of thousands more in Gaza are struggling to find food and shelter.
The situation is very dire. It is catastrophic, the least we can say. We've seen people struggling to actually find food. We've seen people who are struggling to actually find the wood to light fire so that they can actually cook a meal. They're skipping meals, and they're basically eating whatever they've been able to find at the moment rather than eating what they should be eating.
A volcano in southwest Iceland has erupted, sending lava and smoke across a wide area. The eruption is threatening the fishing town of Grindavik, but its 4,000 residents were evacuated a few weeks ago after it was rocked by intense seismic activity. Flights were disrupted at the international airport in the capital Reykjavik, 40 kilometers away. People have been warned to stay away from the volcano as experts assess the situation.
The government has raised the threshold for the new capital investment entrance scheme from $10 million to $30 million. The money can be used to invest in financial assets or residential property, but at least $3 million has to be set aside for the innovation and technology sector. Applications will open in the middle of next year. The previous scheme was halted 8 years ago. Financial Services Minister Christopher Hui said no target has been set for the number of people the government aims to lure under the scheme.
It has been quite some time since we launched the last one, and also a lot of parameters that we introduced this time are rather different from those of the previous scheme. So it's very hard, really, to base on the previous experience to deduce to a logical or credible number in terms of the target.
From today till mid-January, Hong Kongers can enjoy discounts from over 3,000 stores, including restaurants, boutiques, and electronics outlets. The offers come under the Christmas and New Year phase of festive discounts organized by the Retail Management Association. The second part covers the Lunar New Year. Association chairwoman Annie Yao Tse hopes the discounts will encourage people to spend more during the festive seasons and boost the retail sector, which took a hit during the pandemic.